G'day, I'm Benny Hoover, and I got the bearded lawnsman here with me for the Lawn Care Skull Sessions. How are you, mate?
What's going? Good, bro.
That was a new freestyle intro.
Nice.
Yeah, man, what's happening?
Oh, you know, man, just fucking working and shit. What about you?
Same thing, man.
Same
we just
stuff.
we sort of got. I mean, we go through busy stages, but we just got like a bunch of catch pros. We had some back orders, not. But then it just sort of felt like over the weekend, like people just going ham.
It's fucking nuts, man. We have not slowed down this winter. It has just been full steam ahead. We literally, before I was telling you that quote hadn't come through, I just went to put my phone on fucking airplane mode. It's come through. So I thought next week we'd have a fucking couple of days off, but doesn't look like it.
And yesterday the temperature in Brizzy was hot.
It was hot.
And like, I don't know why, I just like, I was like 7 o'clock at night and I was like, it cooled down, but it was still warm.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm getting a buzz cut. And I just started shaving
just
my
went
head.
for it, mate.
Yep.
It's the only way to be. I should cut my own hair. Save that fucking $22. I don't know who the fuck can charge $22 to cut a hair like mine. I've got no hair in the middle. And it's just like, meep, meep, meep. So,
minimum charge, bro.
Well, that's true.
Hey,
minimum charge.
Barber's got to make some too.
That's it.
Got me fresh buzz cut.
Yeah.
All my kids reckon I look ugly.
Oh, I reckon you look alright.
But man, sometimes you just need a change.
Yeah, that's true.
I
can't really do much. I just, like I said, I've got nothing in the middle.
So you shave it, like all the way?
Zero.
Could you get a mohawk, or would that not work?
I could get a mohawk to about the midsection, and then it'd start to thin out, and it'd be like
Or can you get a reverse mohawk, like remember Bolton from
like an
Heartbreak High?
like old man haircut?
Yeah, but not.
Or like a
but
twinny.
like cooler than that.
Like a twinny.
Yeah. So do you remember the Road Warriors?
Yeah.
From
I reckon I could do that.
So
or
like
Rufio.
I could have, because man, I got a fucking good set of hair.
Yeah, you do.
I could have a regular mohawk, and you could have like the reverse one where it looks like we've like hit heads.
Oh yeah,
we're
Lego.
Sessions.
Oh boy, Lego.
We'd be like head docking.
Oh yes. Yeah, fuck yeah. No, that'd be good. I've never tried it. Like I have sneakily done the middle section first, had a look in the mirror, just check myself out, and then I'm like, oh fuck.
Oh, it'd be something you just do for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't even get 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know if I could really go.
That's a pretty heavy haircut to throw around for 2 weeks. Customers wouldn't fucking recognise me. Speaking of customers not recognising me, I was invited to a private get together. It was a meeting. There was a concerned member of a committee, and I rolled in and I was looking fresh as fuck because it was a Friday night. It was 7 o'clock on a Friday night. I'm not getting paid, but you know what?
Yeah, that would have been my very first thing. If they're like, oh, do you want to come to this meeting? And be like, can I fucking send you an invoice?
Well, you know what the worst thing was? They only had water. I thought there was going to be, because it was sold as a ballsy. I was like, fuck yeah, go and have a schooner and maybe get some chips and gravy while I'm in this meeting. But no, we were the only ones in there, and no one recognised me. But I was like, I literally tapped this lady on the shoulder who I've known for 4 or 5 years now, and I said, oh, hey Lynn, how are you? I was like, great place to spend a Friday night. And she's like, ha ha ha, just looked at me like I was going to fucking take her around the corner and beat her up or something. And she nudged the lady on her left, and she's just like pointing her head at me like, who the fuck is this guy? And she goes, that's BJ. She's like, no, it's not. And she turned around, and I picked up my hat and I put my hat on. I'm like, yeah, it is. And she goes, oh my God, it is you. I was like,
you got like the most distinctive looking,
oh my God,
fuck features.
I know, and I just, oh well, I mean, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we can get away with more stuff out in the public now.
Yeah, commit some crimes.
Yeah, you don't know who I am.
And while we're here, I just want to say a big thank you to Luke Smith. Ages and ages ago, he had reached out via the Skull Sessions and said, look, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I know you guys aren't really sponsored, or at least we weren't at the time. and said, "Hey, I want to do something cool for you." And I had said, "Look, man, that's awesome. Don't bother."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we get an email. He's shouting us to dinner at this beautiful place
Oh, it was
locally.
so good.
And it took us a long time to be able to cash that in,
Yeah.
because COVID,
And
sicknesses.
we had it booked. Ella fucking got sick, and then we finally got there though. And
Finally
it was so nice.
finally got there on Saturday night. And we had an awesome little night.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Luke Smith. It was really awesome.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Very unexpected, but yeah. Although they didn't have Coke, when I heard them say Pepsi and Jack Daniels, I was like, what the fuck?
Well, I had one and I wasn't. It didn't if
Yeah.
they didn't tell me, I'd just be like, whatever.
I was like, why you do that?
I had an espresso martini.
I know, that fucking put you on your fucking...
Yeah, I was driving too, and I was immediately over the limit.
Oh, did you like how I rocked up in the truck?
Yes.
I rocked up to this beautiful new restaurant. Everything's white, and it's like on the point.
Fucking Sheila's everywhere.
Yeah, chicks everywhere, and I just fucking rolled in the new Isuzu. Then when I'm reversing out, beep, beep, beep. There's fucking P platers everywhere.
And fucking Tyson was there.
Yeah, we missed him. Oh, well, you got him. I fucking missed him.
Yep.
He was fucking hiding in the restaurant.
And it was a shame. I only just quickly touched base with him, and then he bailed. But
We stole some drinks.
I almost stole my fork. Gold-plated cutlery.
Oof, crazy. But yeah, they kept stuffing our drinks up between us and the people next door, and at one stage we got a few.
I wish they
gin
were
and
ordering
tonics.
something than fucking better than gin and tonics.
I know,
but
yeah. I mean, the girls were happy.
whatevs.
Well, the girls and Scott.
Get us a goon bag, eh?
Yeah, give me a goonie. No, just started.
Put some red cordial with it, then we call it Goomba.
Yeah, I stayed on the piers, and then when I got home, I busted out the bourbons. I was like, yeah, this is my prize.
Did you bust out a cum when you got home?
No, I didn't. I wish I did.
Neither.
Oh, didn't you either?
Nah, I was geeing myself up, but it just
Yeah.
wasn't. Nah. No kids.
Yeah, there were no. Yeah, I was like,
Vicky just looked at me, and she was just like, nah. But I tell you what was funny. Now, this is a bit personal. But I sort of said to me, because, I've been a parent for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so the mornings, it's just a no-go. Like, you just never...
Yeah.
Maybe when the kids were really little, you could sneak something in. So I'm just like, well, you know what? We've had a mad feed. We just had a couple of drinks. Like, we weren't, pissed or anything.
Yeah.
And I thought, it's going to be awesome. Like, we could just wake up in the morning and, the mornings are like.
yeah.
And I'm just like, hell yeah. And so anyway, I had actually woken up. Like, it's like my body knew. Like 5:45. And I was like, oh, no, this is way too early. So I actually went back for a little friendship nap. And I didn't wake up again until 7:45. And I've rolled over and I'm just like, it is on. That feeling?
Yeah.
And
I'm never that confident.
and my missus, I just meant like it's on as like,
Yeah.
I just knew what was happening under the doona to me. Anyway. So Vicky's rolled over and just looked at her phone, and our girls were all sleeping at our old neighbour's house.
Yeah.
There was a text, and it's like, oh, hey, I know it's kind of sudden, but I'm on my way. And the message was like 10 minutes old, and they don't live far.
Fuck.
And because we are painting and doing some renovating, we don't have any blinds or anything. And I'm fucking starkers already. Like, I woke up like that.
Yeah.
And I just had to immediately get up, and like, it was just the most crushing thing. I don't know if anyone out there can relate. Like, I knew that that's it. It's going to be 12 to 13 hours before I can be in that same position again.
Thinking that you're
don't really have to do some of that stuff these days, people would be amazed at the things that I actually have to do in terms of, you know, cutting thousands of stickers by hand and, you know, just some of that nitty gritty stuff.
Just looking around, like the camera can't see it, but there's shit everywhere. Like, you know,
sealing up the Pro Shield motors.
Yeah, it's just there's stuff everywhere.
And loading and unloading trucks by hand.
Yeah.
You know, lots of the things about what we're still doing here very much, you know, keeps us pretty grounded. Like there's nothing special about, you know, what we're doing. So it's just a way that, you know, I'm hoping that we can relate to everyone else who's out there, and continue the, you know, I guess the mateship.
That's it.
Of the community that we're building.
That's it. I love the community. I love that a lot of people like the fact that we kind of come across as normal, everyday bloke. Like we're not fucking.
Well, I'm getting looser and looser.
Normal. Yeah, I feel like we're getting a bit loose, but it's our podcast.
I had a guy, and this happened to me over at Cox Mowers as well. But I went out to PLP the other day to look at some machines, and there's a couple of warehouse people that I see from time to time, and sometimes when they're getting, you know, like I actually order a lot of my boxes and packing stuff comes from there.
Yeah.
So I go and pick it up, and you know, so I get to meet some people, and anyway, buddy, all I could hear is this like, "Hi, buddy," and I was just like. I had no idea who it was going to be, and I seen this dude just cruising on a forklift, and looked over, sort of recognised him. I don't know his name. And I'm like, "Hey, bro," and he's like, "Yeah, Mr. YouTube, hey," and then I'm like, "Nah, don't be like that." And he's like, "Hey," he's like, "Oh, we love listening to you, man." I was like, "That's so fucking awesome." But
that's awesome.
I was like, "That's so fucking awesome," but please stop it. Like it just is one of those things. Because I'm doing it with you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like I just don't see myself being any different as anyone else. But anyway, to that bloke out there, if you are listening, that definitely gave me a lift that day. That was awesome.
Nice. It's kind of weird, hey, when someone just out in the public just like, "Hey, I know you," or someone randomly texts me or something.
And it's same like when I went to Cox Mowers, all the dudes in the back that are wrapping up, like they're making the blades and they're doing things, and the Skull Sessions is playing in the back. Like they're all fucking listening to it. Like this is they don't just have it in their ears. So it's really cool, and I love seeing the warehouse people doing it, because that's what I do.
Yeah,
that's what me and Vicky are doing, man. We're just wrapping shit all day and picking orders and doing stuff, and I never appreciated any of that environment until I started doing it, and that's what makes these industries go round. Is the people, you know, sort of like, it's like the nosebleed section.
Yeah, well, I did forklift driving, logistics and warehousing for 11 years. Well, I had processing in there, and, you know, fuck, man, you don't really realise how much money you're making for someone else until you're actually a small business owner, and you see, like, holy fuck, like I mean, we've all seen it. Like,
if you follow Catch Pro Instagram, like, man, at any given time, I can have me kids bloody. I mean, I guess it's pretty loose. I give them Stanley knives, but I always make sure that they know the dangers of it. But you know, cutting open latches and doing things for me. Sometimes I'm watching, what's that, 1, 2, 3 Go on YouTube. Your kids are probably too old or too young, mate. They're just watching other kids play with Barbies or something.
Oh man, I get enough of that.
And I put it up on I'm pointing over to the TV. You can't see it, but sometimes if I want to hang out with Nelly, I'm like, "Hey man, do you want to do a Catch Pro job?" We put the TV on. It's this fucking YouTube thing, and then we can just spend a bit of time.
Yeah. So fuck man, some of those YouTubers, like Blippi. Have you seen Blippi? Dude, this guy, he fucking just decided to make his own kids program, and it's educational. It's just been picked up by Netflix, but he makes like 25 to 30 grand a day on YouTube.
Holy.
And then he also has his Netflix series. He has live events, and the dude is worth something like $30 million.
Far
And he's only been around for a couple of years, and now he's had to get a second blippy. Bro, it's fucking. Oh.
I've seen Elsia and Arnia.
Oh yeah, are they like the?
That's the actual voice too.
Are they like?
It's not Elsa and Arna.
Yugoslavian or something like that.
Fucks me, but
yeah,
it's just funny how they remix the names. Must have been for copyright, like
Yeah.
Elsia and Arnia.
Man, we need to do a kids show.
No, I can't do it with a fucking lung buster hanging out.
Just paint it rainbow colours, would be sweet.
Yeah, well,
Just rainbow smoke. Every colour gets a different colour smoke.
it'll be like Bad Santa, eh?
Yeah. No.
Would you like me to fix you some sandwiches?
Hey, something funny. I know I'm going to drop the C-bomb here only because it's directly in the story. So yesterday I was at the dump. Like, we've just been still cutting down heaps of shit at some of our villages. I rolled up, reversed up, and this guy came in next to us. Big fuck off ex-VIP trailer, I think. Well, anyway, it was the same colour as the old VIP trailers. And on the side, in probably like 2-foot letters, someone had scratched cunt into the fucking side of the trailer. And I was like, holy shit. Like, what the... I didn't want to talk to him at all because I was just like, well, fucking that's... Maybe they're a cunt, I don't know.
Yeah.
Fuck me, it was the biggest fucking... I was like, why wouldn't you... And it was rusted. So it had been there for a while. They just haven't fucking... They don't give a shit. Oh, man. That was some wild shit.
It's weird that he hadn't tried to cover that up.
Didn't try and cover it up at all.
I got a C-bomb story.
Oh, there you go.
When we had our original Catch Pro list of all of these names, then this is just a piece of paper and me and Rusty bouncing ideas off each other. One of the words was the C-bomb.
Yeah.
And it had uni in front of it. So it was like uni, and I don't want to keep saying the word. But the way that the C was written, it was like overdone, so it kind of looked like a O.
Oh.
And then it looked like O-U-N-T. And Rusty's just like, because we were like doodling, and so some of the words were like written over like, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And the whole point of this one piece that we were trying to do was that it was universal.
Yeah.
And Russell's he's just looked at it and he's like, what the hell's an uni und? And then throughout the whole time that we were developing like one of the Catch Pro brackets that's really universal, Russell's like, yeah, so you just get the uni und. And that it was just a little funny story between me and him. But like I always go back to it. Anytime me and Russ, and it's not very often these days, but sometimes when we see each other, we bounce ideas.
Do you still have them up on the wall? All the names?
I have his original sketch up there.
Yeah.
And I would have it somewhere. Like I'm not ditching it, but it's hilarious when you see
have to scan it so you can keep it forever.
It's hilarious when you see the uni und. So, but anyway, look, let's get to one of my personal stories of some stuff ups and fails that I've had. Now, funny enough, Rusty, right, he makes a couple of appearances here. But this story goes way back to when we were like 17.
So I was what?
Which is like over 17 years ago now.
So you were 17, I was what, 48? No.
Well, you would have been in school.
Yeah.
Doing possibly year 12.
Yeah.
So you would have been 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I wouldn't have been 19.
Yeah, you're 2 years older.
Oh.
I was 17 in year 12.
I left in 2003, so I would have been 18.
Yeah, well, with the months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, you're not quite 2 years older. Yeah. Anyway, now this is way back, Mr. V's Garden Care.
Yeah.
And, I was say 16 or 17. Now, we used to have, my friends would take half, or they would take, say, a whole day Wednesday,
Yeah.
and come and work Mr. V's Garden Care. And nothing was ever registered, but it was legit like that was when they were just starting to get the work from school program things going on, where people would spend a day in different trades.
Yeah.
And my mates would be like, "No, we're working with Benny."
Yeah.
And like nothing was ever written. We just paid him everything. But anyway, Rusty he's always been a go-getter.
Yeah.
Because he's always had to fend for himself. So he's working this one particular day. So my dad was with us then. And my dad is not, he came from an office environment. I'm not sure if he was the boss of anyone, but he kind of let us do our thing, right?
Yeah, nice.
And he is blind in one eye. So his vision is just not fantastic.
Yeah.
And he used to be on the whippersnipper. And anyway, we're like mowing this yard, and at one point I fucking turn around and Rusty is just standing up against a 6-foot fence, hard up, face to it. So he's just and I'm looking, I'm thinking like, he cannot be chucking a piss right now, because it was in the middle of the fence.
He's not hiding it.
He's just standing there. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking like, man, if he's chucking it, like I did not want my dad to see that.
Yeah.
So I've emptied my catcher, done a little bit. I'm over the other side of the property or whatever. And I still see he's sitting there. And at some point, my dad had looked over and thought, what the fuck is he doing? Anyway, I've gone over there and he's hit an irrigation line.
Oh.
And there's water spraying up. And his quick fix was, fuck this, I'm going to stand on it. And he didn't know what to do. He was just standing on it. And eventually, so like I walked over, I'm like, Russ, what are you doing? He's like, Benny, I don't know what to do. And it was a live line.
Because he's only young.
Yeah, we're only like 16 or 17. Anyway, long story short, we had to just duck down to a probably not even Bunno's back then, but a local hardware, grab some bits. But all I remember is just Rusty just being like, oh man, I don't know what to do, and just standing on the irrigation line to prevent the big stream.
Poor bastard. Yeah, that's shit.
So that was funny as hell.
Young Wilbur's put a fucking put a little mattock through an irrigation.
Oh mate, and
after I was like, don't dig around there. The irrigation runs through there, and I think it didn't even. I don't think he hit it. He was actually just scratching the dirt off the top of it, and he must have just fucking pierced it somehow.
Yeah. So lesson learned, everyone. Have some 13 and 19 mil irrigation hose on board. You don't need tons. And get a couple of the 13 and 19 mil joiners along with the clamps. And then that way, when something happens, if you have to shut the water off, you only have to do it like, I mean, we had to shut the water off and go for a drive.
Oh, yeah.
Come back with parts. And we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We were just new into it.
Yeah. And it's a pretty easy fix.
It's a really easy fix. And that would be the most common diameters.
Yeah.
If it's 25 mil, you're fucked, because that's going to be a big gusher.
Yeah.
You got to get the water off. What do you got, dude?
Oh, mate. Well, I've got a business one. It was our fuck up. So back in the day, we used to have Invoice to Go, and every year, like the amount that they kept raising the price, just it got out of control to where it just wasn't viable for the amount of customers I had. It just wasn't viable for me to keep Invoice to Go, because it was just out of fucking control. So what I did was my wife, she researched, found this rounded company that we're still using today. And, their motto was like Invoice to Go, but half the price. And it truly was. So we swapped over to that, not thinking that we would not be able to get all of our customer details back from Invoice to Go by just going into our account and getting them. So we ended up having to pay like a fucking fee.
A new subscription fee.
Yeah.
Like renew it?
Well, we didn't have to renew it. We had to pay some fucking fee to get our account information. So I did have a hard copy. So back in the day when I was really super into it, I wrote down all my customers and all their details, but I didn't have Yeah, I didn't have everyone. So I had to fucking pay this shitty fee. And yeah, fuck those dogs.
And I had the same thing, like similar when I was cutting up the business for you and Rusty. I had like just a few loose cashies or, you know, some people that like I knew their names or at least their first name of the client, but like the job was just called the name of the street. Fucking
Yeah.
Boston Road. Or
Yeah, that's what we still do now.
And so I'm just like, here's this client. And then, you know, Rusty's like, all right. And I'm like, well, you'll have to give me a minute so I can try and track down what their fucking actual details are. But it's funny how stuff like that goes along. Now, something similar with that, well, it wasn't with the invoicing. I've got a similar story that just happened to me recently. We were getting emails. Now, I get spammed like fuck, right?
Yeah.
Like, I get seriously hardcore spam
Well, your
from...
numbers out everywhere now.
Yeah, but by the email, like I get hardcore spammed by, say, Chinese manufacturers. They'll scan the web and they'll find, you know, like say the magnetic light bar or just like, you know, certain products. And they're like, fuck yeah, we could do this way cheaper. So I don't look at everything. And we must have been getting an email at some point about the domain expiring.
Okay.
Now, the fucked up thing is that when we went through all of our controversy with Josh, and if I'm not going to retell that story, but if anyone wants to hear it, go back in the archives, maybe somewhere around episode 13 onwards.
Yeah, something like that.
You'll get that story. But essentially, we had all of our logins and we were always paying the bills. That's how he had set it up. But the emails were not coming to us.
Oh.
So one day someone emails me and they're like, oh, hey, I just tried to buy some blades. I can't get onto your site. And every now and again that will happen too.
Yeah.
And usually if we've got orders that day or something's happening, we're just like, it must be on your end. Refresh your browser or fucking, I don't know.
Just do something.
Yeah. Just do something.
Just do something.
So anyway.
It's not my fucking problem.
I noticed that we were having a terrible day on the website and I thought, fuck it, I'll go into Shopify. I could not get into Shopify. So I went to the Catch Pro website and it's like, this doesn't exist. And it was a Sunday and I just immediately started just getting super nervous.
Did you cry?
That was like a moment where it's that helpless feeling.
It would have made me feel sick
because our media company, who doesn't handle that much of the back end, it's mostly just advertising. I needed to touch base with them.
Yeah.
Because they would know. But it's a fucking Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, luckily, I mean, I don't speak to Josh, but Vicky had touched base and ended up finding out that, mate, we just had a fucking domain renewal.
Oh.
That's all it was. And we were way over. They had been sending stuff to Josh's email for 10 days saying like, mate, you got to renew or we're just going to shut the whole thing down.
Oh.
So Shopify has 24/7 support.
Yeah.
And live chat. And we were like, oi, we didn't realise. We paid the bill and they're like, this takes 48 hours to action.
Oh, fuck.
And we're just like, hey, you know, like I realise, you know, this and this, but like this is, you know, this is not good. Anyway, we were lucky 3 hours and we were good to go.
Nice.
But a huge fuck up. And it's just another lesson. Like I love being organised.
Yeah.
But nowadays I have to delegate.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's on Vicky, even though it fucking is. But
if you're not getting the emails, if they're not coming to anything you get to see.
No, well, that's true too. But there should be systems in place.
Yeah.
You know, because we're pretty onto it with everything else. But I guess it's just another, you know, sometimes, you know, you get the messages or you get, you know, the clues and you just don't register it yet until it becomes real.
Sometimes you need that shit because, you know, if you go through life and everything's fucking honky-dory, then when a big problem comes up, you're all fucked up. Like, You know, you need a bit of fucking shit to.
You do. You need to know how to deal
Yeah.
with roadblocks. And,
100%.
you know,
Especially
certain
owning
stuff.
your own business. There's fucking roadblocks everywhere. I have to admit, like, I'm not as organised as you. I am a bit of a fucking last minute Larry. To the point where a couple of days ago, I had to do a quote up, and I think it was fucking 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I thought, fuck, I forgot to get something priced up. and I had to send the quote the next day. So I'm there fucking through Google, just fucking that'll do, boop. And then just fucking throw the price in and away she goes. I really do leave things to the last minute, but I don't know, it really works for me. Like, I'll get to a point, I'm like, and my brain kind of switches on. I'll have a little bit of time to myself and I'll be like, okay, boom, and I'll get it and I'll fucking, I got ADHD. So concentration is fucked for me. Like, to the point where I can have a conversation with my wife and
Will you just be constantly undressing her with your eyes?
Yeah, pretty much. Like my whole, like I can hear the conversation, but it does not stick in my brain, and I hate it because, like, she obviously feels like I'm not listening, which I kind of am not listening, but I am. Like I'm trying to actively listen, but my brain won't retain the information. She's like, "Are you listening to me?" And I'm like, kind of.
Man, I'm just
really good at guessing. I guess a lot of fucking conversations we have, but I hate that about myself. It's one of those things.
I'm just always on, like...
You are.
It'll be like 10:15 at night. I'm like, "Oi, Vic, what do you reckon about this?" And she'll be like, "If you fucking say one thing about a product or a catcher right now, you can get the fuck out of the room."
I feel bad for Lou as well. Like, fucking, we'll get to, you know, it'll be D-Day for a quote, or, you know, I've got to send an email or something. I'll be like, we're in bed. I'll be like, "Oh, I didn't send that thing." She'll be like, "Are you fucking serious?"
Oh, mate, I come up with a whole fucking list every night. I bring Vicky's laptop to her and she's like, "Are you kidding?" And I'm like, "Well, I tell you, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be balls deep in catches and you're going to be trying to talk to me, trying to get details." Because at this house, when we were at the other house, she could kind of do some orders because it was a one-level house.
Oh, okay.
And the girls could kind of get ready and, you know, but because it's a 2-story house here, she just deals with the girls, gets them off to school at 9 o'clock, and at about 9:15, she can start getting into the back end and all of the consumable items. And by then, like, I'm pumping tunes, pumping rivets, you know, rapping stuff, and I can't just keep stopping and being like, you know, like I'll take screenshots, you know. She'll go, "Who's that invoice for?" And I'll be like, "Oh, fucking Brad." You know?
You guys should get fucking walkie-talkies. Like,
We actually have that on our watch.
oh, for real? Okay.
We've got Apple Watches, and it's a fucking classic too, because you can, if she engages in it, like you press something and your phone will actually, your watch will actually go like, and then she can talk, and then I can respond. And if when I know she's at a shopping centre, seriously, my reply every single time, she'll be like, "Oh, hey, do you want a burger for lunch?" Or whatever the case is. And my reply every time is just, "Fuck yeah." But because it's audio, she's just walking around, we'll just cop like a "fuck yeah."
That's awesome.
So I love it.
I actually need to get one of those. My truck actually has like a read function for the messages that pop up, like text messages. I'm like, I just ask Lou to send something filthy and just sit in the car and just keep replaying it.
Yeah, like Lou's just gonna email you like, "Hello BJ, your penis is so big."
I'll be like, fucking liar.
Just as soon as you pull up to like a pedestrian that's walking, like that well, they don't have to be good looking, but you could just be like, "Yes, play this now."
Yeah, and it's a British voice too. Oh, man, did you finish this big?
I have a story of another little fail. And look, I guess the story was so funny to us, not of what happened, but the way that we tried to justify fixing it. And we were at like this big property, did this huge cleanup. We were really chuffed with it. Yeah, this is way back in the early days again. And I'm pretty sure we didn't even own a trailer. Like, I think it was that long ago that we hired a trailer for the job, back when we used to do that. And we had to, neither my father or myself were any good at reversing trailers. And so the people were there, and we just drove into the property. And we had to go down the back, down a sideway, and we were just kind of like, look, we'll just deal with reversing the trailer out like later when we know that we're not going to have an audience and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was reversing out, and it was like we were in the backyard, and we had to reverse down the yard, then down the side of the house, then out the front yard, you know. And I'm just like, my dad's just like, yeah, good. And I couldn't even feel any resistance. And I was hooked on one of those old metal clotheslines.
What, like a proper Hills hoist?
Yeah.
Like the ones you used to hang off?
Yeah, like those old silver ones.
Yeah.
Like the steel ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hooked on one with a little bit of the trailer. I didn't even know. But like, instead of bending the main pole, it was just bending like the pole, just that one pole, and it was just reefing it down like a... And so like, eventually... because my old man's just on one side, he's just like, yep, you're doing great, son. Yes. And then eventually it was just like, oh, nah, no good. And I was fully hooked, man.
Oh, no.
And so, we got the car out, and we're like both trying to bend this. It's like I don't know how...
The tubing is, they're heavy duty. They used to hold my weight when I was a kid, so...
And so, like, there was just, like, a tree that was, like, kind of hanging over it a little bit, but, like, still not touching it.
Yeah.
And, like, all we've done is, like, to fix it, because we couldn't bend it back or anything, all we've done to fix it was just turned it to a position and made it like a little bit near the tree, so that when you start walking down the backyard and you're looking at it dead on, where the bend was, made it look like it was straight. And then we just fucking dusted our hands off and left. Never got a call back, but it was just one of those things like...
That's so good.
You just got to be aware of your surroundings.
Oh, shit. Yeah, fucking learning to reverse a trailer. So I used to live on the end of, like, it wasn't a main road, but it was a thoroughfare where people used to cruise through all the time. And eventually they actually closed this road off. So I used to have to, like, hook it so fast. Do you remember Willard Road?
Yes.
So it's like the main thoroughfare that goes all the way from Wynnum, where Benny is, all the way through to the Redlands where I am. And I used to have to hook it onto the opposite side of the road right before the turn, and then just quickly jam it in. So I learned to drive a trailer pretty well, pretty quick, just out of necessity. I was going to die if I didn't. But that's a different story. So one of my biggest fails, I think, when I first started my business, was buying customers. So there was this guy, he'd sold off most of his business.
Not Benny Hoover, right?
No. This was at the very beginning, before I even started. So he'd sold off all of his business except for, I think it was about 8 or 9 customers. So it wasn't a huge financial kick in the balls, but, as moving into the industry, I was like very unsure about everything. There was no podcast. I barely was on fucking Facebook. There was nothing really to go by. So I bought these. I asked you, what did you think? And you're like, well, I don't really know the customers, so, I can't really. I was like, fair enough. So I took a gamble, and fucked it. It did not pay off. They were the fucking worst customers. I did them. So I went out with this guy, and the red flag should have been when he pulled up in a Commodore, and it was a station wagon, and there was no trailer. All there was all this shit just pushed into the back of his commie, and I was just like, okay, this is the first time I've been on a mowing run, so I can't judge. So I've jumped in. We've done 2 customers out of the 8, and then we went. We were driving around, and he's like, "Yeah, so this one's fortnightly here. You know, you go in, you get a check, and because it was a little while ago." And he said they all know that you're coming and you're taking over from me, so I was fine with it. And so next week rolls around, I've got like 4 or 5 that week, and I had 4 or 5 the next week. I spread them out, and I fucking rolled up. And the first job, I went and knocked on the door, and they're like, "Oh, who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm Brenton. I took over from, I won't say his name," and they were just like, "Oh, yeah, we don't need you anymore." So the first job was just a complete fucking, that was gone. So I'm down to 7. Call the next one just so I didn't waste my time driving there. I'm like, "Hey mate, how you going? My name's Brenton. You know, blah blah would have fucking told you I was coming basically." And he goes, yeah, no, I'm gonna do it myself now. So that was 2 off the list, and it just kept going. I only kept 3 out of that whole list. I only ever got to mow 3 out of the 8.
Yeah, and we've had episodes about buying customers before, and look, I'm still backing it. I still think it's great. But you gotta do your due diligence.
Yeah, it was fucked. There was, I mean, the price was fine if the fucking customers took me on, but I just got fucked over. So it was fine. Like, it was a learning curve, and I never bought customers until, like, we did a deal. So, I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things, I guess.
Well, and it's a good heads up for people to know that people like us have had those experiences.
Yeah.
So I've got something to piggyback off that, but before we do, let's spend a minute giving our sponsors a plug.
Oh yeah.
Bad Workwear, still going strong. Now's the time to really start looking at your summertime wear.
Get those shorty shorts.
Yeah, I can't do them because I don't have the pegs for them.
Well, I don't have the pegs for the longer ones because it looks like, because I'm pretty fat.
You got some fucking tree stumps.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I got some.
I mean, they're not fat legs; they're just big.
No,
fuckers.
they're big, but yeah, it's when you get up towards my junk that gets a bit wider. So I'm just like, yeah, it just looks funny with long shorts that go past my knees. So that's why I like the shorties. And maybe I can get away with sneaking ball out here and there. Like, hey, Will, check this out.
And then he just flops out his gorilla dick. Eh?
Oh my god, it would be so big. Fucking love
Those Fijian boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys and girls, get on the bad train. Use the code Skull in capital letters. Now, our homeboy Turtle down at
buddy.
Fernscapes, he just got like some fresh ass gear done. He got himself a Bad Workwear shirt and then got it printed himself with his logo and some of our logos.
Yeah, you got the Skull Sessions logo posted up.
And the Skag logo.
And the Skag logo. We don't even have Skull Sessions merch. So
dude, he must have
literally
just pulled it. He just pulled it from somewhere. I don't think
I sent him the file.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I sent him the file, but yeah, because the person who did our art did a fantastic job, but he only gave us 1 file. So Turtle was asking for some weird file name, and I was just like, "You can have what we got, bro. That's all I got. It's all I got for you, man." So,
but the Skull Sessions logo looks cool.
Yeah.
And then partnered up with a great brand.
Workwear.
But everyone out there, I'm telling you, like, I don't know what everyone does for socks and mower cover, like the little booty covers, ice-warm skirts. Jump on their accessories line too. BJ's usually repping the hat. Not today. We probably got one down here at the front.
Yeah, down the front.
But like, the stuff is cheap.
Well, I wore a fucking Bad Workwear hat to dinner the other night.
That's right. And it looks fly as. I'm repping the flannel. I mean, I'm head to toe. I got the Bad Workwear undies.
Have you?
Boxer shorts, but
Yeah.
They just feel not on. They're like, it's bamboo, and it just feels like
good.
Seriously. I just want to root myself when I'm wearing it, just because it's so soft.
I know.
How's that for a sponsor?
That's a fucking.
They didn't write that script for me. I freestyled that.
That's a good one though. Maybe they'll take that for the next sponsor. But there's been a few. There's a lot of people that are posting Bad Workwear now. You sent me one that was a bit from left field.
Oh my goodness! I was scrolling on Instagram. So I'm not a TikToker, but Bad have a TikTok account now.
Yeah.
And a lot of their content is, pretty stereotypical.
Yeah, just handsome blokes like myself.
Yeah. Good to look at.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Better to touch.
I didn't see it on TikTok, but I was just scrolling Instagram, and man, I came across like I can't even describe. But anyway, it was just a Sheila with a bad workwear shirt on, no pants, checking on something downstairs, and I screenshotted it, sent it to the boys.
Yeah.
And then sent it over to the owner of Bad Workwear. So he rings me up and he goes, "What's doing here?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Have you not seen this before?" He goes, "No, I haven't seen it." And he said, "Do not tag me in that." And I said, "Dude, I'm not posting this."
Yeah.
Because he knows we're loose, right?
Does he want me to do a reenactment?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Please let me know. I don't know how we'd ever get this out because I'm not posting it publicly.
Yeah.
But I had to show my wife
Yeah.
because I didn't want her to think that, a customer had sent it to me.
Yeah.
Because it's getting along the lines of divorce then.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to get amongst the trend, get on Bad Workwear. They do have some awesome stuff coming, branching out in all sorts of different ways.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And just such a great Australian company.
Yeah.
We're actually thinking about going down and seeing them in person, right?
Yeah,
down in
for
Melbourne.
sure. Yeah, go and check out Bad Workwear Factory. Maybe I'll get to go to International Mowers and
It's all down there,
Yeah, it's
so
all down there.
that'll be really cool.
Now, speaking of International Mowers and Skag Australia, we also have. So I've been waiting for these games. So we have the lawn simulator games. They're going to be hopefully in my hot little hands tomorrow. Seeing as how Toll can't fucking deliver them to my house. And I'll get those, and then we'll run a competition next week on our next week's episode. It'll probably be like something like, give us a review, go like Skag Down Under or some shit like that. We'll think of something good.
Buy a fucking Catch Pro.
Buy a Catch Pro, send us photos in your bad workwear. Maybe not those kind of photos. But we appreciate everyone. And
Mate, I'll
really,
take them. I'll take the photos.
Yeah.
Just don't tag us.
Yeah, don't tag us.
Yeah.
Get in trouble.
I already tiptoed the line.
Anything that I ever get, I just show Lou anyway, so I can't get in trouble.
Yeah,
Be like,
it's
"Oi,
just.
check this out." She'll be like, "You fucking piece of shit." I was like, "Yeah, well, now I've showed you." It's
I always try and get Vicky to reenact it, and she's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "I just want to see it." She's like, she's like, "You'll send it to someone," and I'm like, "No, darling, I won't do that."
I'm always like, "Hey Lou, take a photo of me reenacting this." She's like, "No, because you'll send it to everyone."
Yeah. Anyway, now that we got the plug out the way.
Yeah.
What story were we up to?
Okay, so I think
What did you just tell?
my customer shit story.
Oh
Shit
yeah.
customer.
Now look, I haven't thought about this in a long time, but that just brought up an old memory. Now, I used to scour the World Wide Web, right? I used to surf the web looking for contracts.
Yep.
I've spoken about this before. Usually you have to register on a tender site, you have to have all the legal stuff going for you, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So what I would try and do is find people who have already done that, and then they're trying to outsource. Once they get those contracts, they try and outsource,
Yeah.
which is perfectly good business,
Yeah.
perfectly normal. So I found this dude who was selling just heaps of acreage jobs, tons. And it was right around the time I picked up my very first contract, but I was in the middle, like I had my fingers in two different pies. Like I didn't know if I had that, and then I had this other dude on the side, and either way that I went was a game changer.
Yeah.
Now what actually happened was I got both, and the takeover was on the same day. Now, with this dude's acreage clients that he was selling, He also had a contract for all of the, I can't remember, it was the Good Start or Early Start kindergartens. Now, this went from, and I know not everyone's going to know this, but this went from like Ipswich all the way up, down, west, east, everything. Huge territory. Now, when you looked at the numbers, it was fucking sweet.
Yeah.
The issue was, per job, you had wins and you had losses. So you might have a centre that took someone 30 minutes to complete. And this is probably going back maybe not quite 10 years ago, but a while. So back then the numbers, would be different.
It'll be about 7 years ago, I reckon. Because
around that.
I remember when it
I had kids, I know that. They would have been very young.
Yeah.
But anyhow, for example, one centre, you might have got $88 for it, and it would take the boys 22 minutes.
Yep.
Another centre might take them an hour and 22 minutes. And there was just, if you looked at it over a 7-day or a 14-day period, it was pretty good.
Yep.
The numbers lined up. But if you looked at it per job, you were just scratching your head.
Yeah.
And mate, I could not take myself away from the other side or any of my other business, and I had to hire a crew to do it. And there was, it was the worst business deal I made. I signed a contract.
Ew.
We had to go and get we had to have certain qualifications. We're doing everything on the run. There was an Anzac Day, so we only did it for 30 days. Yeah. That's the end of the story. But there was an Anzac Day, and we had so much work. I had to go out with the boys, and we had to hit a ton of these kindies.
Yeah.
And man, every single place we went to, we just had neighbours fucking taking photos of it.
Oh.
Because we were working on a public holiday. We started at like 6 o'clock, but I had a woman who was like, how fucking dare you, this is my only day off, rah rah. And I'm like, have a fucking listen to you. You got a fucking day off.
Yeah.
I'm fucking over here cleaning up sand in a fucking sand pit. I should be with my kids.
Yeah.
And anyway, I was out of line. But in the end, there was, when it came to, we were only going to get paid once a month.
Yeah.
I legitimately had to go back to this dude and said, man, I cannot fulfill this contract.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, bro, you signed this contract, and I didn't know, but with these gardening tenders, if you can't fulfill the contract that you signed, then the person can go out and get a new contractor at a different price, and you have to pay them because you have taken on the responsibility, and you said that you were going to do that site for X amount of dollars. And it was just, so anyway, luckily I said, well, you know what, man, we've done everything twice, because it was on a per 14 day. I said, mate, we've done every site twice, and I cannot fulfill this contract. You just keep what you owe me, because it was like fucking almost 10 grand or something.
Fuck.
And I said, but I want out. And he let me go, and he wasn't out of pocket. He just had to find another contract.
Yeah.
Well,
he had fucking.
I was out of pocket. I just wiped my ass with it, and I was just like, I cannot. So anyway,
that's a hard one.
Huge business fail.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
But you know what? Such a huge business fail, and realistically, a big missed opportunity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, we didn't fucking miss a beat.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt me. I paid the boys whatever it was that they were making for the 30 days.
Yeah.
I thought I had a lot of money coming to me, which we didn't end up getting.
Yeah.
But, it never really...
Oh, that's good.
I was just tripping on the idea I don't like to fail.
Yeah.
I fail all the time, but I don't like to quit is what I meant to say.
No,
I don't mind failing. I really hate pulling the pin, but my hands were tied. I just could not... There wasn't enough hours in a day to do the amount of work that we took on.
I got another one. This isn't like a business one as such. This is more as like a fuck up. This is a bad fuck up on my behalf. So I actually got hooked up with a real estate agent, lovely people, and they sent me to this house. It was fucking beautiful. It was in Brisbane City. It was up on a hill. It overlooked the whole city. They just renovated the backyard and the hedge had been let go. So I was doing a hedge reduction. So this hedge...
I'm sorry. I'm going to let you get on, but hedge reductions, they just call for
Fuck.
Like so many things. Can
Some
go wrong,
people,
right?
like if you were set up, like I've seen, I know there's like sharp hedges on Instagram. Fuck man, they're good, man. I'm not very stable up a ladder, so I mean I don't mind going up ladders and I can hold my own up there, but I just don't love it. It fucking hurts me leggies. But anyway, the ladder had no fucking. It didn't even come into the equation. So what happened was I was up this thing and I thought, fuck, if I fall, I'm going to fall into this pool, because the pool was fairly close, but I just had a bad feeling that morning. It was winter. It was it wasn't even, I think it was about 8 degrees. It was my first job of the day. So I'm just chopping away, la-di-da, fucking here we go. And I thought, okay, if I fall, all my shit's going to get wet. So I decided I put my hedger down. It was still running. I put my hedger down, Shindaiwa T230. So I put it down. I walked over to the pool gate, went outside the pool gate and went and put my keys on the back patio. As I've turned around, I just see my fucking hedger just vibrating towards the edge of the pool. And all of a sudden it's just gone bloop, and just fucking gone over the edge into the pool. Now this is when I first, that hedger was only like maybe 3 or 4 months old, and my heart broke and I was like, fuck, and I could see like the bubbles coming up from it trying to run, and then it just cut out and sank to the bottom of this brand new pool. So here's me, middle of winter, fucking boots off, everything off, boom, into this person's pool.
I can't believe your hedger idle danced into it.
It fucking shimmy, shook all the way into the pool.
You see the 238 just moonwalking like, fuck yeah, come stop me, the bearded lawnsman.
Fucking man, I got so sick from that. I jumped in, I rescued it. Obviously, I didn't try and start it because I didn't want to fuck it any more than it was already. And it lasted me another 3 years, that hedger.
I just have stories just jumping into me head. So I've got one.
Do it.
Almost exactly the same. So where we live, we have the biggest boat harbour in the southern hemisphere, right?
Yeah.
Moreton Bay, down at Manly there. And beautiful grounds. Like there's several different, boat houses or clubs or whatever the fuck they call it. I'm not really a boatie, so Anyway, I have always, apparently one of my relatives used to actually maintain one of the sites. Dutch guy, like even Lou's part of the family might.
Oh, true.
Years and years ago. Anyway, I got a call to do a job there, and they had this ground cover, and the ground cover was planted on a retaining wall, but the retaining wall was concrete slope, and this shit is across the whole bay. Like back in the 40s, and like they actually made the Aboriginal slaves build those concrete walls. So anyway,
that's the same.
So it's just a little bit.
That's the same as up near the.
That's just a little bit of history.
Yeah,
probably everywhere. Like it's bullshit what happened.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this ground cover was, you think ground covers, you think fucking piece of cake, right? No, fucking thorny as shit.
What was it? Do you know?
It's like I don't know the name. It kind of reminds you of one of like
Little Miss. Like, is it like Little Miss Muffet?
No. It's like it reminds me of like those pine needle-y, like it has it's a really hardy leaf.
Yeah.
And it has quite thick wood stem. So anyway, the point is this shit was probably falling a meter down, and we needed to trim it It was about a metre that we were taking off.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do it at high tide. You had to work at low tide. And there was always going to be the chance that someone was going swimming in the harbour. Now, what made it worse was you couldn't contaminate the harbour. So if there was shit that went in the water, you had to go and get a canoe and fucking clean it, right? And I looked at it and I told the boys, I was like, we're not going to fuck around here. And I don't want you guys planning on going in there. And, we just got to try and plan this out the best way we can. So we had two dudes down the bottom on a steeped bank.
Yeah.
And I was trimming and they had a tarp. And we would just go 2 meters by 2 meters.
Yeah.
And the shit would fall into the tarp. They'd wrap it, run it up, come back down. And I just had a chainsaw and a hedger.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I had the worst flu.
Oh.
And I was all right, I guess, while I was working. But it was a proper, like my lungs were no good. I had no sleep. I had fevers, everything. But we fucking nailed this job, man. And it was hard work because that shit was heavy getting it up the bank. Everything about it was hard work.
Yeah.
And remember Mitchie who worked for me?
Yep.
So this is when we had him and he was just getting ready to branch out into his own business and he bought a little Stihl chainsaw.
Yeah.
So like they might have been like 300 or 400. I don't know how much.
Yeah,
It was one of those. It was a
little mini boss.
It was right when they were doing the mad deals.
Yeah.
Like when they finally realised, hey, we're pretty fucking expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so he's got this mad little saw. We used it. Everything was sweet. And back then, Nick was also working with us.
Oh.
And he just such a great guy. And the very last cut, I did all the cutting. The very last cut, he let go of the chainsaw at the wrong time and it just went straight into the harbour. And
Never to be seen again?
No, he got it.
Oh, he got it?
They cleaned it out. He had to buy Mitch a new saw.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to.
Yeah.
He had to buy Mitch a new saw, but he kept the saw, and I do believe he got it all flushed and going again. But such a heartbreaker.
That's so bad. I do remember you telling me about that job.
Yeah.
I wish I came down and had a look at it because fucking awful.
I look back on it and it was memories. Like,
yeah. That's what it all is. Like, it's all learning. It's all memories. It's all funny. Like, I know I've already spoken about it, but, the random shits that I've taken in places.
Oh, like gosh, let's not go there again.
My birthday shit, my pants, all these different places.
I gotta say,
fucking spiders, mate.
It's one thing, I've never shit my pants.
Ever?
No, I can remember one situation, and I know that I was either 10 or younger.
Oh, well, that doesn't count, I don't think.
It doesn't count when you're a kid.
Yeah, nah.
And I didn't shit myself because, I was crook.
Have you ever been so drunk that you, pissed the bed?
No, never, ever.
Me neither.
I just haven't.
Jesus.
Yeah, so... and I've been pretty damn pissed before.
Yeah, you have.
I mean, I've done dumb shit accidentally just spewed just where I shouldn't.
I spewed in a pokey machine once, where the coins come out.
I've seen people do horrible. We've been at you might have even been there. It was when we were young. We're at a strip club, and everyone's just sitting there.
That would have been me.
And then. One of the boys, he's just got his hand like this and he's just full heaving under the table.
That definitely wasn't me.
I've just seen some dumb stuff. Actually, can we tell the story about Mad Monday with the AFL boys? Did you see it?
Yeah, I actually have the video on my phone.
Oh, I don't want to see that. If it's the same story.
It's the same story.
How's this? Whichever AFL team it was, they've had their Mad Monday, and they're just I guess in a pokey room.
Yep.
And I only saw still shots, But you just see this dude, with he's holding a drink and his pants are at his ankles and his teammates just...
He's got he's holding his shirt up too.
And one of his teammates is blowing him.
He just wraps his lips around his dick and gave it like 2 quick sucks and then runs out of the room.
Oh my God.
I was like, holy
if they were in a cubicle privately, it would be way worse.
Yeah, because they were in there. But because they did it in public and they literally did it in the fucking... It's just so...
Is it in a foyer or a pokey room?
It looks like it could be in a foyer or a pokey room. Either way, there's a bit of space there.
Imagine how
there's
loose.
Pool table. Fuck.
See, that's what would be my fear if I got on the piss with you and Humongous. I feel like you guys would try and do something to me. 'Cause these are just 2 big dudes that could just do whatever you want.
Well, I learned of something the other day. Like Will was telling me, my young fella, he's a rugby union player, and he said last year on one of their getaways, they did something called skydiving, but they went on a bus trip and it's where you fucking, like, he goes, they just got naked on the bus, and then there's this guy and he like climbed up where where your baggage goes up the top of a bus. He's like hanging off that like he's skydiving, and then they just let go and they fucking hit the floor he's like, yeah, I didn't get it. I was like, yeah, man, that's wild. Even I wouldn't do it. I mean, we used to do some dumb shit. Like,
remember the booze bus that we went on? You probably don't remember it because my story is about you. All I remember is, now I'm not a good day drinker, and I never have been. BJ is shocking at it, by the way, but we're different types of shocking. BJ will just keep drinking.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Whereas I get over it. Yeah. I'm like, I get over it after a while. So I'm like, had my fun, and it's kind of like the end of the day, I'm like, fuck it, I want to go home. I look over on the bus, and for people listening to this, it's not going to be anywhere near as funny because the image was the face, but he's just leaning up against the window of the bus and there was little curtains and his mouth was just open and he was just vomiting everywhere. With that same face, like the smile face, but except vomit was coming out.
I spewed on the birthday boy.
Oh,
because we were driving home, because it was a pub crawl.
Yeah.
And how funny is this? Like, it's random. Like, we randomly went to a pub, and my mum used to live like an hour and a half away. Randomly, I'm blind as fuck in the middle of Laidley's town central.
So for anyone who doesn't know, for some reason we went to fucking Ipswich.
Who knows why?
Ipswich is actually, it gets a bad name, but it's actually a beautiful rural place. Like, I've taken me kids out there and we've hit some little cafes.
Yeah, they have some cool stuff out there.
They got cool gardens and stuff too. But with the boys, hitting the local pubs, like, and there is no Sheilas out there.
I was fucked because Lou was pregnant. And I hadn't been out for a long time. It was the first time we got together with all the boys, and I remember driving back and just hurling out the window, the little slidey window at the top,
and none of it was going out.
But the funniest thing was the birthday boy had his window open too, so it's hooked it all the way down the side of the bus and it's coming in that window. But we had to pull over at a BP and hose it off while I'm just still on the side of the road spewing.
So
and when
nasty.
We got home, Lou came and picked me up, and I was so drunk that I straight away was just like, oh, I had a bad steak sandwich. I fucking, as if she would have believed me, but I spewed all the way home.
Never seen so much dicks and vomit in my whole life.
It was a big dick vomit day.
I mean, I got a bunch of other stories here. I don't know if we're boring anyone. I know I'm entertained.
Yeah, well, fuck.
Just reminiscing, eh?
Yeah, that's it. Just back down memory lane.
What about any equipment fails quickly?
I definitely fucked up that walker.
The walker.
Yeah, so I used to have a walker. It was just a resi model, and like I was pretty good. I think the fact that you had to get the fucking thing serviced every 30 hours was a real pain in the dick eye.
Just with all the moving parts, right?
Just everything, yeah.
And you're pretty new.
And I was pretty new. The walker was my first machine. It was second hand. But it was a cool little machine for a while. But anyway, 30-hour intervals. I lost track of one, and you know, started to sound a little rough. And I was like, oh shit, I'll take it for a service. So I took it in, and turns out I'd been running it for a few hours without any oil in it. So fucking out with the old and in with the new. Had to get a new engine in that.
And that's a hard pill to swallow, right?
Oh.
If you had to replace an engine on a mower.
Big time.
I mean, sometimes you toss up, fucking hell, should I just...
I know.
But,
And it was a Chinese fucking, they had to do all sorts of wacky shit to get it in there. It worked, but it was
well,
never
actually,
the
funny
same.
enough, we had a Walker fail too, over, it wasn't like the machine's fault, but we accidentally, it wasn't me, we had an operator accidentally ran over like an industrial doormat. And this thing, man, like obviously didn't make it into the chute or anything.
Yeah.
A big fucking mat. It just fully minced the blade gearbox, like, because there's some pretty incredible suction going on there.
Oh, yeah.
So
as-
whatever you
Not as much on Mad Mondays.
oh, those boys, well, they'll never live that up.
Yeah.
So yeah, but look, I got another one. This wasn't a story from me. This was just a story that I'd heard. But an operator's tried to do a service, and I'm guessing they were doing an oil change on their zero turn, and maybe they were doing it on their garage floor,
Yeah.
and it wasn't level. And so when they drained the oil, I'm guessing that maybe the machine had used a bit of oil.
Yeah.
And so they're like maybe pulled out a litre when they probably should have pulled out 1.5.
Yeah.
And then what's happened is when they've put the oil back in, because the dipstick wasn't level and it wasn't giving a proper reading, maybe only 800 mils has gone back in, or what? Like they didn't have a manual, and
Yeah.
they obviously didn't know what they were really doing. And then what actually happened was they were mowing a slope
Yeah.
like sideways, and all the oil's gone to like one side of the sump or something. And this fucking thing in use, the piston fired out the side of the whole housing and everything,
Oh, shit.
and just fucking yeah. So
Fuck, that's
that's like I mean, I don't know how much. Like, I don't know if you were going to put a Kawasaki. I don't know what they put on, but you're looking at a couple of thousand rebuild, along with some lead time.
That's hectic, man.
So,
Yuck.
these are all stories, that can help everyone grow together. And
Well, one that might actually help someone from hurting themselves is wear gloves when you're pulling fucking vines. I found a vine. Now, I don't know, maybe one of our listeners knows what it's called, but I pulled it out of a tree with no gloves on, and no shit, the bark turned into fucking splinters. The whole bark of the vine came off, and it took me hours to get it all out of my hands. 'Cause it just like slithered off straight underneath my skin. And to this day, I reckon I still have a piece. Look, in there, my finger. It's weird, but yeah. Wear gloves when pulling vines. Yeah.
and try, and I'm assuming people are probably just more like they're already responsible. But like I remember, maybe when I was like 20 and I was working with, probably had two of my mates with me, and it was raining. We had a van back then, and I remember we must have been doing hand brakies. I don't know. See, it just sounds so
Yeah.
fucking stupid to me. And I full pulled up at this body corporate job, and done a hand brakie, but I've just tail whipped like 10 wheelie bins.
Yeah.
And like I know back then I would have laughed my ass off, and it would have been fucking hilarious. And I just think back to myself now. Imagine if you had a tradesman rock up and you saw him tail whip your wheelie bins
Yeah.
out the front. Like, isn't it the most ridiculous thing?
But you kept the job? Like, no one must have seen it?
Well, I don't know. We kept the job.
Yeah, fuck it.
I don't know. Nothing was ever said to me.
That's a win.
But there's so much ridiculousness to that whole scenario. Like, it's like me and Rusty, you know, occasionally, I would do stuff when, like, this is later on in life. This is
It's
only
not like
this
you
is-
go,
this is only like a year or two ago. Like, I would do stuff because Rusty's very straight edge.
Yeah.
And like he would not like to fuck around.
Yeah.
And he would not like to push that edge. So I used to do things. You know, like we'd be talking to a client, they'd turn their back, and I'd just be behind them with the finger or something. Because that would be something that would just freak Rusty out. And I would do a little bit of dumb stuff like that. But like, you know, doing handbrakes in a work rig anywhere, like it's just like nothing good can come from it.
Nah.
Have you
Have you had any random like fucking wins that just came out of nowhere?
Yeah, I would say like I know some of the wins that we've had. Like there was one time in my life where like so many appliances in my house just came from jobs.
Oh my god, that's exactly what I was gonna
You know,
say.
fridge, dryer, fucking,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about like.
Light bulbs? Didn't you fucking have like a stash of light bulbs?
Oh, bro, I'm like some of them are only just like I'll probably still have like the little power packs.
Yeah.
Man, if you need any of that shit, I'll fucking.
We tried to find an extent. No, we tried to find a power pack the other day.
Yeah, I just had to find me a little stash. Found one.
That's alright.
Mate, that particular like I mean I've gotten 2 cars.
Yeah, fuck.
So yeah, I've had heaps of little wins. I've had a client which was the QML Pathology, huge site.
Yeah.
And I did 3 or 4 sites for them. Eventually got fired, but once every 4 or 5, maybe 6 months for a little while, I was getting random payments.
Really?
Yeah, just fucking noticed like the remittance was always NAFRU, like they must have been an Indian company or something. And a significant amount of money. It was like 4 factories, so it was almost $2,000.
Holy shit.
And every now and again, I just see NAFRU pop up, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, still getting paid."
Holy fuck.
And probably happened 4 times.
You didn't have to pay back.
Nah.
Well,
fuck
see-
no. I mean, if they had asked for the money, I would have happily given it back
Yeah.
because it's not mine.
Yeah.
But man, I'm not owning up to that shit. Eh?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's
Okay.
just a classic example of run your business properly.
Yeah. So a similar thing happened to me when I used to work for that transport and logistics company. So when I first met Lou,
Oh, that's risky business. Though.
so when I first
On
met
wages,
Lou,
it's risky business.
they were overpaying me about $2,000 a week.
Holy!
Now it wasn't just me. There was a bunch of dudes who were getting all this extra freezer allowance. Now I did not say anything, and one of them, Kiwi dude, he's like, "Oh hey bro, what's your pay packet been like?" And I was like, "Fuck, I know exactly what he's gonna say." And he was like my kind of like my team leader in the freezer, and I was like, "Oh, it's been pretty good lately. What about yours?" And he's like, "Yeah," and he just knew exactly. And fucking, we used to drink together and shit. And anyway, when I met Lou, I was balling. Like I was only paying back in the day. Like I'd only pay like $180 a week rent. I was fucking, my freezer was full of like lamb cutlets. I was eating fucking roast every night. No more chicken satay over 2 nights for me anymore. So I was a single dude, no kids or anything like that. And I was just like fucking water cash all day, every day. And when I met Lou, obviously, like I was just like, oh shit, here we go. I was like, yeah, you want some drinks? Like I'd just be buying drinks, fucking just, yeah. And it was so good. And then probably about...
Did you have any guilt?
Not a...
Okay. No. I mean, I don't mean guilt because,
Okay.
it's not like it's someone's.
So realistically, fucking this company, they were dogs, man. Like they treated us like shit. They segregated like the fucking... The people in
Please
the
don't
office.
say black from white.
No.
Oh gosh.
No.
I was like, dude, we cannot have that.
No, like the people in the offices, they every Friday they'd have like a barbecue or they'd have like a customer come in that would cook them lunch, and they'd be like, "Oh, you guys can come up and have something." You'd walk up there and there'd be like half a fucking chewed sandwich, and you'd have to share it between like 67 fucking office staff workers out on the floor. But I fucking hated that place. And at the time, there was actually a manager who hated me. Hated me. Because I was good at what I did, I was a stock controller. And it actually ended up, because I kept all my numbers like nice and tidy, him and another manager got fired because I was so good at keeping my paperwork. So other than that, like I had no guilt, but they did eventually catch on. And they went back through the books and they're like, "You owe us this money." And the fucking money I owed these motherfuckers, I had to get a loan to pay it.
It always comes back.
Well, fucking not for you.
No, well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't having like a $2,000 win every week.
Fuck me. It was tidy.
So,
But it was mad. Like, I lived it up while I could, and then I just paid them back a penny.
Yeah,
have this
you just
little-
like, well, yeah, can we put it on Spur and I can pay you $1.20 a month?
Yeah, so what happened was I got a loan, and I told him I was getting a loan to pay it, and I paid him $1,000 back out of the loan, and I bought my first or second car, and because I knocked Lou up, because that's what happens when you fucking
That's it, yeah.
when you
that's
do.
that's what happens when you're a high roller.
Yeah,
you just
that's
knock
it.
people up.
Just fucking rolling my dice without protection. So yeah, fucking got that car happening, and yeah, had to eventually pay it all back, but I got there in the end.
Well, I've had fun, reminiscing over some stories today, even though most of them caused us a fair bit of heartache.
Just a few.
So I think we'll get ready to put a bow on this one, BJ. But to everyone out there listening, we'll be back in a week's time.
Yeah.
With a fresh new topic. I don't know how long we went for today. It felt longer than what we'd been doing recently.
Who knows?
So don't forget to leave us any comments and reviews. Reach out to us about topics, etc. And keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, for sure.
Until then, I am at CatchPro. He's at TBL. Me out of time. Thank you.
Peace.